Germany in the 1980s wasn't just building cars and autobahns. It was building monsters, iron giants so massive, so brutally engineered, that the rest of the world couldn't believe what it was seeing. These weren't just excavators, they were mechanical revolutions, machines that ripped open mountains, swallowed coal mines whole, and rewrote every rule about what a digging machine could be. Most of the world has completely forgotten them. That ends today. Let's bring them back from the dead. Number 10. O&K RH30. We begin with a machine from a company that most people have never heard of, built by engineers who spent a century perfecting the art of digging. Orenstein and Koppel, almost always shortened to O&K, was a German engineering giant founded in Berlin on April 1, 1876 by Benno Orenstein and Arthur Koppel. They started by building narrow-gauge railway tracks and locomotives, but by the 20th century, they had evolved into one of the world's most respected excavator manufacturers. The O&K RH30 was a medium to heavy class hydraulic crawler excavator that served as one of the company's workhorses across the European construction and quarrying industry during the 1980s. The RH designation in O&K's naming system stood for their hydraulic excavator line, a line that in 1961 had produced the first series of fully hydraulic excavators ever manufactured in Europe. O&K didn't just participate in the hydraulic excavator revolution, they started it on this side of the Atlantic. The RH30 served in a wide variety of roles across the decade: quarry operations, large infrastructure projects, road construction, and overburden removal in open-cast mining sites. It was the size of machine that a major contractor would use as the primary production tool on a serious earth-moving project, capable enough to load heavy dump trucks at a meaningful rate, yet not so large that it required extraordinary logistics to move between job sites. The machine reflected O&K's core engineering philosophy throughout this era: build it heavy, build it strong, and build in the hydraulic power and reliability that clients demanded. O&K had manufactured over 55,000 hydraulic excavators across their production history, and by the 1980s, more than 700 of those were machines exceeding 100 tons in operating weight. The RH30 was the entry point to that serious performance lineup. One of the earliest major customers for O&K's large hydraulic excavators in the 1980s was UK coal operator NSM, Northern Strip Mining Limited, who operated a fleet of O&K machines on British open-cast coal sites. The RH30 class machines did the medium-duty work that enabled the giant RH120 and RH200 class machines to function efficiently, working faces, stripping access roads, cleaning up production benches. They were the unsung muscle behind some of the decade's most ambitious mining operations. Number 9. O&K RH75. If the RH30 was serious iron, the O&K RH75 was the point where things got genuinely impressive. Introduced in 1976 as the direct successor to the legendary RH60, O&K's first major mining class hydraulic excavator of 1971, the RH75 carried on that tradition with more power, more capability, and a bucket capacity that made it ideal for large-scale mining operations throughout the late 1970s and into the 1980s. The RH60 it replaced had been a landmark machine in its own right, a 124-ton hydraulic giant powered by two Deutz diesel engines, producing a combined 760 horsepower, an extraordinary power figure for a hydraulic excavator in 1971, when the technology was still very young. When O&K succeeded it with the RH75, they built on that powerful twin-engine foundation and pushed the performance envelope further. The RH75 offered a 9 cubic yard bucket capacity, which positioned it solidly in the heavy mining excavator class. Machines like the RH75 were used in open-cast coal mining operations, quarrying of hard rock and aggregate, copper and iron ore extraction, and large-scale earth-moving projects where production rate was the primary metric of success. What makes the RH75 particularly notable in the history of German excavator engineering is where it sat in the product evolution story. O&K had entered the mining excavator market in 1971 with the RH60. By the time the RH75 was working job sites in the 1980s, O&K was already planning machines of extraordinary scale that would eventually shock the entire global mining industry. The RH75 was the essential proving ground, the machine generation that taught O&K engineers what mining operators truly needed and whose lessons were directly applied to the giant machines that came after it. Even today, used RH75 excavators occasionally surface for sale in mining regions of Canada and Australia, a testament to the durability and serviceable design that O&K baked into their machines from the very beginning. Number 8. Liebherr R981. Now we move to one of Germany's most iconic engineering dynasties, Liebherr. The company, founded by Hans Liebherr in 1949 in the small town of Kirchdorf an der Iller, had by the 1980s grown into a global powerhouse that built everything from tower cranes to refrigerators. But it was in the field of hydraulic excavators where Liebherr made some of its most significant engineering statements. The Liebherr R981 was a 90-ton hydraulic excavator that appeared in the early 1980s, and it represented a significant moment in Liebherr's mining excavator program. What made the R981 commercially clever as well as technically impressive was how Liebherr chose to market it as both a backhoe excavator and a hydraulic front shovel, with boom front ends that could be changed in service to convert the machine from one configuration to the other. In the mining and heavy construction world, that kind of versatility was genuinely valuable. A backhoe configuration excels at digging benches and loading trucks from below grade, the classic hydraulic excavator application. A front shovel configuration is more efficient at truck loading from a face that is at or above grade, the more traditional mining shovel application. By building a machine that could do both with a field conversion, Liebherr appealed to a wider cross-section of the mining and earth-moving community than any single configuration machine could have reached. The R981 was powered by dual Cummins diesel engines, a layout that gave Liebherr the power density needed to run the massive hydraulic systems required at this machine size. Liebherr was notable in this era for manufacturing practically the entire machine in-house, apart from the engine's hydraulic pumps, motors, valves, cylinders, undercarriage components, all came from within the Liebherr Group's own production facilities. This level of vertical integration gave them extraordinary control over quality and reliability. The R981 served as the direct predecessor to the R984, which arrived in 1986 and would go on to become one of the most celebrated mining excavators in Liebherr's history. But it was the R981 that laid the groundwork, proved the concept, and established Liebherr's credibility in the heavy mining excavator sector at the start of the decade. Number 7. O&K RH120. Step up another level, and you arrive at one of the most important German excavators of the entire decade, the O&K RH120. This was a machine of a completely different magnitude from anything that preceded it in the O&K lineup, and when it started appearing on mining sites in the early 1980s, the industry took serious notice. The RH120 was a large mining hydraulic excavator that operated in the roughly 200-ton class, a true mining giant, designed for the highest production applications in hard rock mining, open-cast coal operations, and large quarrying projects. One of the earliest and most significant customers for the RH120 was UK coal operator NSM, Northern Strip Mining Limited, who put these machines to work on British open-cast coal sites beginning in 1980. The fact that one of the world's most demanding open-cast mining operations trusted the RH120 with their highest production sites was the ultimate vote of confidence. What the RH120 represented in the broader context of German excavator development was the arrival of the true heavy mining hydraulic excavator as a serious competitor to traditional rope shovels. For decades, large-scale mining had been dominated by cable-operated rope shovels, machines built on an entirely different engineering principle, with a long and proven track record. The hydraulic excavator had long been seen as too complex and too unreliable to compete with rope shovels in the harshest mining environments. O&K's RH120 was part of the wave of German engineering that changed that perception permanently. The machine's all-welded high-strength steel structure, its powerful hydraulic system, and the quality of its undercarriage design all reflected a manufacturer that understood what mining clients needed above all else: reliable production day after day without extended downtime. The RH120 delivered on that promise, and in doing so helped cement O&K's reputation as a world leader in mining excavator technology throughout the 1980s. Number 6. Demag H241. Now we arrive at the machine that, on the day the first prototype left its assembly facility in Düsseldorf, carried a decal inside the cab reading "World's Largest Hydraulic Excavator." That is not a legend or a myth. That is a documented historical fact. The Demag H241, produced by Mannesmann Demag, one of Germany's most storied engineering conglomerates based in Düsseldorf, was introduced in 1978 as the world's first hydraulic mining shovel to truly break into the 300-ton class. The H241 first appeared in the UK in 1981, where it was imported as one of the new high-horsepower hydraulic mining machines for the expanding open-cast mining industry. In its full specification, the Demag H241 was a 310-ton machine equipped with a 21 cubic yard bucket, a bucket so large that a single dipper could fill a standard mining haul truck in just 3 or 4 passes. The scale of this machine in the context of the era cannot be overstated. When the first H241 prototype left Düsseldorf, hydraulic excavator technology was barely 20 years old. The idea that it had already scaled to a 310-ton machine with a 21-yard bucket was genuinely shocking to the global mining community. Demag's history in excavator manufacturing went back to 1907, when the company's predecessor, Carl Schütte, built the first electrically driven rope shovel in Duisburg. In 1954, Demag built their first fully hydraulic excavator, the B504. By 1972, they had their first 100-ton hydraulic shovel, the H101. The H241 of 1978 was the product of that accelerating development curve, and by the 1980s, H241 units were working in some of the most demanding open-cut mining operations in the world. One documented H241 was assembled in 1988 and worked for 22 years before being scrapped in February 2010. Operators who ran these machines noted that the H241's hydraulics were deliberately slow by modern standards because in the late 1970s and early 1980s, hydraulic technology simply couldn't operate at the speed we expect today in machines of this size. But what it lacked in speed, it more than made up for in sheer digging force and bucket capacity. The H241 was a machine that moved mountains, slowly, deliberately, and with absolute authority. Number 5. Liebherr R984. The year is 1986. Liebherr had been developing its mining excavator program throughout the early 1980s, learning from the R981, refining their engineering, and listening to what mining operators around the world were telling them. The result of all that development arrived in 1986 as the Liebherr R984, and it immediately became one of the most successful mining excavators the company had ever built. The R984 was a 100-ton machine, up from the 90-ton R981 it replaced. It was powered by a 586-horsepower Cummins diesel engine and offered its customers the choice of either a 10.5 cubic yard backhoe bucket or an 11.8 cubic yard front shovel configuration, maintaining the dual configuration philosophy that had made the R981 commercially successful and extending it to a larger, more capable platform. The R984 carried forward Liebherr's 13-foot 8-inch gauge track frame on a heavy-duty 9-roller undercarriage. An undercarriage designed to withstand the punishing conditions of hard rock quarry and open-cut mine environments where ground conditions are as rough as they get. The all-welded high-strength steel construction throughout the machine was another Liebherr signature, manufactured almost entirely within the Liebherr Group's own facilities, ensuring quality control that could not have been achieved through outside sourcing. The new R984 was immediately successful and found buyers all over the world. It went into Australian iron ore mines, South African coal operations, North American quarries, and European open-cast sites. Its success in the marketplace was not accidental. It was the result of a machine that genuinely delivered reliable production in conditions that destroyed lesser equipment. Liebherr had gotten the engineering right, and the market responded accordingly. The R984 would go on to evolve through the R984B and R984C iterations, growing in power and weight with each revision. But the original 1986 machine established the foundation that all subsequent versions were built upon, and it marked Liebherr's definitive arrival as a major force in the global mining excavator market. Number 4. O&K RH200, if you wanted to find the single machine that most completely defined O&K's ambitions in the heavy mining sector during the 1980s, you would find it in the O&K RH200. This was an excavator in the 400-plus ton class. A machine of genuine enormity, a step up even from the impressive RH120, and a clear statement that O&K was aiming for complete dominance of the large mining excavator market. The RH200 was used extensively in large open-cast coal operations in the United Kingdom, with operators including R.J. Budge and its successor company UK Coal operating large fleets of RH200 for the biggest excavation jobs available in the British mining industry during the 1980s. These were the machines that were removing overburden from some of the most productive open-cast coal sites in Europe, feeding a British energy industry that was still heavily dependent on coal throughout the decade. What made the RH200 so remarkable was not just its size, but the engineering competence it represented. Building a hydraulic excavator at this weight class required solving engineering problems that simply did not exist at smaller machine sizes. The hydraulic pressures required were enormous. The structural loads on the boom, stick, and frame during digging operations were at the outer edge of what material science could support. The undercarriage had to survive years of operation on ground conditions ranging from loose overburden to solid rock. O&K solved all of these problems, and the RH200 reflected that complete engineering mastery. At the completion of major projects in the UK, many RH200 machines were sold abroad to continue working in other countries, a testament to both their residual value and their continuing utility decades after original manufacture. Some of the RH200s that worked British coal sites in the 1980s went on to move rock in other continents, continuing productive careers that spanned enormous distances and applications. The RH200 was later succeeded by even larger machines. But during the 1980s, it represented the pinnacle of what O&K offered to the mining world. And it was an impressive pinnacle indeed. Number 3. Demag H185. The Demag H185 deserves its own chapter in the history of German excavator engineering. Not just because of its extraordinary specifications, but because of the remarkable and unusual life it led in service. A life that took it far beyond the mining sites it was originally designed for. Introduced in 1983, the Demag H185 was a 190-ton hydraulic excavator with an 11 cubic meter bucket capacity. That 11 cubic meter figure was enormous for a hydraulic machine of the early 1980s, and the H185's overall specifications placed it firmly among the most capable hydraulic excavators on Earth at the time of its introduction. The machine was manufactured by Mannesmann Demag Baumaschinen, the construction machinery division of the Mannesmann Demag industrial conglomerate based in Düsseldorf. The H185 carried forward Demag's tradition of combining exceptional digging force with the reliability and build quality that demanding mining clients required. Powered by large diesel engines, the H185 was designed for the open-cut coal and iron ore mining operations that were its natural habitat. Its massive bucket could strip overburden with a productivity rate that made it indispensable on the largest job sites. But what makes the H185 truly unforgettable is what happened to at least one example of this machine later in its life. The demolition company Brown & Mason acquired a used H185, which had previously been operated by Wimpey Mining in South Wales, specifically to demolish redundant power stations in the United Kingdom. A specialist pulverizer attachment, built specially for the H185 by the manufacturer Allied, weighed approximately 15 tons on its own. The H185 carried this attachment and used it to tear apart the reinforced concrete structures of power stations that were being decommissioned. The sight of a 190-ton mining excavator originally designed to move coal being used to demolish power stations, wielding a 15-ton concrete pulverizer as if it were a standard digging bucket, was one of the most dramatic demonstrations of hydraulic excavator capability in the decade. It showed not just what the H185 was designed to do, but what the platform was capable of when pushed into entirely unexpected applications. Number 2. Demag H485. If the H241 shocked the world when it was introduced in 1978 as the largest hydraulic excavator ever built, the Demag H485 of 1986 redefined the meaning of the word large entirely. This was Mannesmann Demag's answer to the question, how far can hydraulic excavator technology really go? The answer, in 1986, was the H485, introduced that year as the worldwide largest hydraulic mining shovel. The H485 weighed in at approximately 475 tons and was equipped with a 23 cubic meter bucket and 1,600 kilowatts of engine power. To put 1,600 kilowatts in terms that are easier to visualize, that is approximately 2,145 horsepower, driving the hydraulic systems of an excavator that weighed nearly 500,000 kilograms. The H485 was explicitly designed for the highest production mining operations on the planet. The kind of operations where production is measured not in hundreds of tons per hour, but in thousands, where the cost of machine downtime is calculated in tens of thousands of dollars per hour, and where only the most capable, most reliable, most powerful machines survive in the production schedule. Demag had been building toward this machine for decades. The company's excavator heritage extended back to 1907. Their 1954 B504 had been their first fully hydraulic excavator. Their 1972 H101 had been their first 100-ton class hydraulic shovel. Their 1978 H241 had made them world leaders in large hydraulic mining excavator technology. The 1986 H485 was the culmination of that entire engineering journey, the machine that put the Demag name on a level that no competitor could match at the time of its introduction. The H485 held the record as the world's largest hydraulic excavator until it was surpassed by Demag's own revised version, the H485 SP, and eventually by O&K's RH400. But in 1986, during the heart of the decade this video celebrates, the H485 was the undisputed king of hydraulic excavators on planet Earth. No other manufacturer anywhere in the world was building anything comparable. It was a uniquely German achievement, delivered from the engineering workshops of Dusseldorf, and it stunned the global mining industry. Number 1. The Bagger 288. And here, at number 1, we have a machine that does not fit neatly into any normal category of excavator. It doesn't fit neatly into any category of vehicle at all. The Bagger 288 is, in the most literal and documented sense, one of the largest land vehicles ever built in the history of human civilization. Built by the German company Krupp for the energy and mining firm Rheinbraun, the Bagger 288, also known in its original designation as MN Tachraf RB288, was a bucket wheel excavator completed in 1978 after 5 years of design work and 5 years of assembly. At a total project cost of $100 million, it entered full productive operation in the Hambach open-pit lignite mine in the Rhineland region of Germany in the early 1980s, and it remained one of the defining machines of the entire decade. The specifications of the Bagger 288 are not specifications that fit easily into normal human perception. The machine is 220 meters long, longer than 2 American football fields placed end to end. It stands 96 meters tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty from base to torch. It weighs 13,500 tons, not 13,500 kilograms, 13,500 tons. That is 29,800,000 pounds. The entire machine rides on 12 Caterpillar track assemblies, 8 at the front section and 4 at the rear, each track measuring 3.8 meters wide. The bucket wheel at the front of the machine is 21 meters in diameter, carrying 18 individual buckets arranged around its circumference. The wheel is driven by 4 electric motors, producing 840 kilowatts each, a combined bucket wheel drive power of 3,360 kilowatts. The machine requires 16.56 megawatts of externally supplied electrical power to operate, delivered through more than 120 kilometers of internal cabling at 30,000 volts. When its construction was completed in 1978, the Bagger 288 superseded the American Marion 6360 to become the heaviest land vehicle ever built at the time. It was heavier than NASA's famous Crawler transporter, the machine that moved the Saturn V rockets and space shuttle to their launch pads. The only machines that have subsequently surpassed it in weight are the Bagger 293 and others from the same German engineering tradition. In operation, the Bagger 288 can move 240,000 cubic meters of earth per single day. This figure is the equivalent of more than 10,000 dump truck loads of material moved continuously around the clock by a crew of just 5 people. 5. A machine weighing 13,500 tons, longer than 2 football fields, operated by 5 human beings. When it reaches a seam of lignite coal, it can harvest approximately 8.5 million tons of fuel per year. If this video gave you a new appreciation for what these machines were and what they achieved, subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling us which German excavator is your favorite and hit that notification bell. We've got more deep dives into the iron that built the world coming your way.